Hey, it's Monique from NowYou'reCooking.ca, and today's dish has sparked wars: jollof rice. Of course, these wars have all been deliciously friendly, but particularly if you're from the West African countries of Nigeria or Ghana, you know there's always a debate about who makes this dish the best. If you're not familiar with jollof, it's a spicy tomato-based rice dish. Its origins trace back to the 14th century in what is currently known as modern-day Senegal. For the tomato stew that the rice will cook in, you'll need 2 red bell peppers, 2 to 4 tomatoes depending on the size, a yellow onion, a few cloves of garlic, some fresh ginger, a red Scotch bonnet pepper. You'll also need tomato paste, low sodium chicken stock or water, a chicken stock cube or 2 for extra flavor, bay leaves, dried thyme, curry powder, salt, canola oil, a sliced red onion, and of course, parboiled or converted rice. Parboiled rice is rice that has been soaked, steamed, and dried while it's still in its hull, which makes the rice easier to process by hand. It's distinguished by its light amber color. Rinse the rice over some cool water until it runs clear, and then set it aside. For the tomato pepper sauce, you'll need to use a lot of red ingredients, hence where the jollof gets its distinctive color. You'll need to use a blender or food processor for this, so roughly chop your tomatoes and veggies into smaller workable pieces so that it's easier to process. I used 4 Roma tomatoes, but if you have regular hothouse tomatoes, 2 should be enough. Deseed those red bell peppers, but if you like your food spicy, you don't have to worry about deseeding the Scotch bonnet pepper. Just remove the stem. Peel the onion and the garlic before you add it to the blender. For the ginger, I like to use a small spoon in a scraping motion to remove the skin. I find it works much better than a knife. You could then give it a rough chop and add it to the mix. When blending this many ingredients, you'll need to work in batches, otherwise you'll get an explosion of red puree in your kitchen if you try to fit everything into the blender at once. And no one wants their kitchen looking like a crime scene. If you have a tamper with your blender, using it will help everything combine a bit easier. When the volume has reduced a bit, you could add in the rest of your ingredients for the puree. Once you're done, set aside about 4 cups of the sauce for the recipe. Anything remaining can be easily frozen for later use. In a Dutch oven or deep oven-proof skillet over medium heat, add the oil. Sauté the onion for about 3 minutes, stirring occasionally. Adding the curry powder to the hot oil helps release more of the flavor, so after the onions have sweat a bit, stir it in along with the thyme, the bay leaves, and the salt for another minute. The tomato paste is thick and rich, and by caramelizing it in the oil, you're helping to bring out its natural sweetness. It builds a wonderful umami in the jollof. You'll only need to cook it for about 5 minutes, then you'll see the color start to darken. Slowly add in your blended tomato pepper sauce to the pan, stirring to make sure that everything is combining well. Crumble up the stock cubes. You could use chicken or veggie flavor. Stir and reduce your heat to medium-low. Cover and continue to cook for about 15 minutes to thicken the sauce. In the meantime, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius. Now you can make this all on the stove, but personally I rather use the oven. It frees up the stovetop for other cooking and allows the rice to bake at an even temperature. Add in your water or low sodium chicken stock to the now slightly reduced stew and taste for seasoning. Add more salt or spices in at this point if needed. Finally, add in your washed parboiled rice. If you're baking it in a separate oven-safe pan or roasting dish, Pour the sauce into it first, then add the rice. Mix well to make sure all the rice grains are coated in the tomato stew. Cover your pot with a tight-fitting lid or tightly wrap in aluminum foil and place in your preheated oven. After about 30 minutes, carefully remove your rice. Now, as tempted as you may be to have a taste, you'll need to let it sit for about 10 more minutes with the lid on. As you could see, it's still a bit wet, so by allowing it to sit, it will help dry up some of the extra liquid. Remove the bay leaves before serving and carefully fluff with a fork. For that extra smoky flavor characterized by party jollof, you could let the rice burn a bit at the bottom, trust me, it adds to the sweetness, or add some black pepper. No matter which side of the culinary war over jollof you're on, I assure you that this iconic West African dish brings people together through culture and flavor. If you have some extra sliced red onions, you could use it for garnish. For color, I added a bit of chopped fresh parsley, which contrasts nicely for presentation. If you enjoyed this recipe, feel free to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. The full recipe with measurements is on my website at nowyourcooking.ca. Thanks for watching. See you later.